Stop everything. There is a reason you are hearing this right now. God does not speak into noise, he speaks into silence. And silence, my friends, is not empty. It is a sacred temple where truth enters, where strength is born, and where the chosen ones are forged. I am Shi Heng Yi. In the Shaolin tradition, silence has always been the root of mastery. Long before a monk lifts his hand to strike, he first learns to be still. Long before he walks on fire or breaks stone, he learns to quiet his breath and empty his mind. Without silence, discipline cannot survive. Without silence, wisdom cannot grow. But there is something deeper the world rarely speaks of. Silence is not just training for the warrior, it is the language of heaven. In the stillness, the chosen hear God's whisper. In the stillness, one discovers that strength is not loud but hidden in restraint. And this is why the call comes to you today. Stop everything and hear. In this video, you will uncover principles rarely told outside the temple walls. The secret of why Shaolin monks treat silence as their first weapon. The reason why God calls his chosen ones away from distraction before destiny can be revealed. And how silence is not weakness, but the beginning of unshakable power. Stay until the end, for each truth will build upon the last, like stepping stones across a river that few dare to cross. Welcome to Shaolin Soulfire, where ancient wisdom meets the spirit of God's calling. If this message stirs something within you, support our journey by subscribing. Together, let us walk the path of stillness, strength, and mastery. There is only one place where life truly happens, the present moment, not in the shadows of yesterday's regrets, not in the anxieties of tomorrow's uncertainty. The chosen must learn this truth, for God does not dwell in memory or fear. His voice speaks here, in the now, like a clear bell ringing through the silence. In the Shaolin temple, we were taught this lesson through the simplest of practices. To walk across the courtyard without losing awareness of a single step, to drink tea without allowing a single thought to wander away, to strike the wooden post with full force, yet never let the mind drift to victory or defeat. Every breath, every movement, every thought, anchored in the present. For when the mind is absent, the body becomes empty and the spirit weakens. But when the chosen live in the now, the smallest act becomes powerful. A step becomes a prayer. A breath becomes a weapon against chaos. Even silence becomes alive, carrying the weight of eternity. This is why the present is sacred. It is the meeting place between human weakness and divine strength. Too many chase the future while dragging the weight of the past. They become divided, and their spirit scatters. The Shaolin master cannot afford this. He trains to gather his mind in one place, one time, one action, and the chosen too must learn this art. Presence is not only awareness, it is obedience. When you are fully here, you hear what God whispers, you sense what he commands, and from that awareness, destiny is shaped, not through endless striving, but through quiet alignment with the eternal moment unfolding now. Many believe freedom means doing anything at any time, but that kind of freedom often becomes a prison. When desire rules, the mind is restless, and the body is chained to its cravings. True freedom is something deeper. It is not the absence of limits, but the mastery of the self. In the Shaolin way, discipline is the first gate one must pass. Before a monk learns the forms of combat, he wakes each morning at the same hour. He bows, he breathes, he repeats the simplest movements until they become part of his very nature. Day after day, the same rhythm, the same effort, until the body no longer fights the mind and the mind no longer betrays the spirit. What looks like repetition is in truth liberation, the breaking of chains that most people never see. The chosen are called to the same path. Discipline is not punishment, it is clarity. To say no to distractions is to say yes to purpose. To guard your words, your thoughts, your actions is to rise above the chaos of the world. When discipline takes root, impulses lose their power, and choices become clear. This is the freedom that cannot be taken away, because it is built within. Ancient masters knew this secret well. They spoke of the man who conquers 1,000 enemies as less powerful than the one who conquers himself. The battle within is the true battlefield, and discipline is the weapon. God calls his chosen to embrace discipline not to make their lives smaller, but to make their spirits vast. The narrow path leads to wide horizons. Through discipline, the chosen step into freedom, not freedom of indulgence, but freedom of mastery, the kind that turns destiny into reality. In a world that worships speed and noise, stillness is often mistaken for weakness, yet in truth, it is the highest form of strength. Stillness is the shield against chaos, the calm eye in the center of every storm. It is not an absence of action, but the presence of mastery. Within the Shaolin path, stillness is trained as carefully as movement. A monk may sit in silence for hours, watching the flow of breath, refusing to let the mind be carried away by thoughts. To an observer, it may seem like nothing is happening, but in that stillness, energy gathers. Instead of scattering outward, it is preserved, refined, and made ready. When the time comes to act, the action is swift, precise, unstoppable, because it has been born from quiet strength. Divine wisdom reveals the same truth. Stillness is not idleness, it is alignment. It is the place where human striving gives way to God's timing. Many rush ahead, exhausting themselves in battles that were never theirs to fight. But the chosen learn to wait. They discover that what seems like delay is often preparation. In stillness, the heart tunes itself to the rhythm of eternity, and the path forward becomes clear without force. Stillness also teaches surrender. It reminds us that not everything must be controlled, not every answer must be forced. The one who can rest in silence becomes unshaken, even while the world trembles. This is why stillness is a weapon, because it cannot be touched by chaos. To live in stillness is to walk with strength concealed, waiting for the precise moment when God's whisper becomes command. Then, from silence, comes movement timeless, powerful, and unstoppable. Words are not light things. They may pass quickly from the mouth, but once released, they travel far, shaping the unseen and carving paths in the visible. Every word carries weight. Some heal, some wound, some bring light, others spread darkness. To treat words as casual is to forget their power. In the Shaolin tradition, speech is guarded as carefully as breath. A monk may go days in silence, not because he has nothing to say, but because he respects the strength of each word. He learns that once a word leaves the tongue, it cannot be pulled back. Like an arrow released from a bow, it strikes where it is aimed, whether for life or for destruction. Speech becomes training, and silence becomes discipline. The chosen are called to the same awareness. God warns against careless speech, not to limit expression, but to protect the spirit. Words build faith or erode it. They bless or they curse. They call forth courage, or they spread fear. What seems small in the moment grows mighty over time, shaping destinies without notice. The ancients taught that before speaking, one should ask, is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Words that pass this gate become seeds of strength, but those that do not only bring disorder. In this way, mastery of the tongue is mastery of the heart. The weight of words is also the weight of responsibility. The chosen do not speak to impress. They speak to guide, to heal, to align with higher truth. And when silence is better than speech, they remain still. For in silence, no harm is done, but in careless words, entire worlds can crumble. Where the mind goes, the body follows. Where attention lingers, energy gathers. This is a law that cannot be escaped. To scatter focus is to scatter strength, but to direct it is to awaken power. Energy flows where attention goes, and the one who learns this truth begins to master both life and spirit. Shaolin teachings place great weight on focus. In training, a monk may be asked to hold a single posture until every muscle trembles. The body screams for release. The mind searches for distraction. Yet the exercise is not about endurance alone. It is about directing attention. The monk learns that if his focus rests on pain, the body weakens. If it rests on breath, balance returns. Through such discipline, the spirit grows unshaken, even in struggle. The chosen are given the same calling. Too often, attention is poured into what does not serve, endless worries, fleeting pleasures, empty pursuits. With every distraction, energy leaks away, leaving the soul weary. But when focus is gathered, even ordinary moments burn with purpose. To fix the mind on higher calling is to align energy with destiny. Ancient masters spoke of the lamp, whose flame cannot shine in the wind. Only when the air is still does its light pierce the darkness. In the same way, a scattered mind cannot illuminate the path, but when centered, its energy becomes a beacon, guiding every step with clarity. The power of energy and focus is not in striving harder, but in choosing where to place attention. The chosen who masters this art does not waste strength on noise. Instead, every thought, every action, every breath becomes directed toward the path of purpose, and the result is unstoppable. The world shouts from every corner. Its noise is constant. Voices competing for attention, desires pulling in every direction, endless demands that leave the spirit weary. Distractions are not harmless. They are designed to scatter the mind and weaken the heart. For the chosen, this is not a small matter. What you give attention to, you give power to. Shaolin practice teaches the art of stepping back from the noise. In the temple, a monk learns that peace is not found by silencing the world, but by mastering the response within. He detaches, not because life around him disappears, but because he no longer allows it to command his spirit. Whether in training, in work, or in prayer, he protects the flame of focus, keeping it safe from winds that would extinguish it. Detachment does not mean indifference. It means knowing what to release and what to hold. It is the strength to say, "This does not serve me," and let it go. The chosen are called to this discipline because their purpose cannot survive in a cluttered mind. A soul divided by distractions cannot walk a straight path. God calls his chosen to guard their spirit as carefully as a warrior guards his weapon. Every wasted thought, every unnecessary comparison, every false desire drains the strength needed for higher battles. To stop feeding distractions is to reclaim power. The ancients taught that a river grows strong not because it spreads in every direction, but because it flows in one. In the same way, detachment gathers the spirit, making it whole, making it unstoppable. The chosen who practices this art walks with a calm heart, untouched by the noise of the world and guided only by higher truth. A blade that is too hard will shatter. A reed that is too soft will break. Both extremes fail, yet when hardness and softness meet in balance, strength becomes unshakable. This is a truth the Shaolin masters carried for centuries. Power without mercy destroys, and gentleness without firmness collapses. Only their union creates harmony. In training, the warrior learns this through the body. A fist must strike with force, but the arm must also remain relaxed, or the movement becomes clumsy and weak. The body flows between tension and release, like water striking stone, unyielding in purpose, yet fluid in form. The lesson is clear. To master oneself, hardness and softness must not fight each other, but dance together. Spiritual mastery requires the same. Faith must be firm, like a tree with roots deep in the earth, yet the heart must remain soft, able to bend, able to forgive, able to show compassion. Too much hardness makes the spirit harsh and cold. Too much softness leaves it vulnerable and easily swayed. Balance is the way of the chosen. God calls his people not to extremes, but to wholeness. Strength is needed to stand against the storms of life, but gentleness is needed to heal, to guide, to love. To embody both is to reflect divine nature itself, the lion and the lamb, justice and mercy, power and grace. The ancients often compared the balanced one to water. It can carve mountains, yet it nourishes the smallest seed. It yields, but it also endures. In the same way, the chosen who walks in balance carries a power that cannot be broken, a strength that does not crush, and a softness that does not fade. This is the path of true mastery. Breath is the first teacher. Before thought, before action, it is the quiet rhythm that sustains life. Yet most move through each day without awareness of this sacred flow, unaware that every inhalation and exhalation carries the power to align body, mind, and spirit. In the Shaolin tradition, Breath is studied as carefully as any martial technique. Monks train to control it, to deepen it, to make it steady as the mountain. A single focused breath can calm the heart, sharpen the mind, and awaken energy that lies dormant. The rhythm of breath becomes a bridge between the body's strength and the spirit's clarity. It is subtle, yet profound, a weapon, a shield, and a guide. For the chosen, breath is not merely physical. Each inhalation becomes a call to awareness, each exhalation a silent offering. It is prayer in motion, a conversation with the divine that requires no words. In the stillness of conscious breathing, distractions fade, and the whisper of God becomes audible. The rhythm of life itself transforms into devotion, and the ordinary becomes sacred. Ancient masters taught that the breath carries more than air, it carries intention. To breathe with care is to breathe with purpose, to connect every action to higher truth. Through this practice, the chosen cultivate patience, presence, and peace. Even in chaos, the breath remains a constant anchor, grounding the body while lifting the spirit toward the eternal. When the chosen learn to breathe as prayer, the simplest act becomes extraordinary. One breath holds the power to heal, to focus, to transform. In the quiet rhythm between inhale and exhale, life itself becomes an offering, a steady, unbroken devotion to what is higher, greater, and eternal. To be chosen is not a crown of glory, but a weight that rests upon the spirit. It is not an honor to boast of, but a call to vigilance. The world may envy the chosen, but they alone understand the quiet demands that accompany this path. Responsibility comes first, before reward, before recognition. Shaolin masters have lived this truth for centuries. Their strength is not displayed for admiration, it is carried with humility. Every action, every choice, every breath is measured against a higher standard. They understand that power without purpose corrupts, and mastery without service is empty. Discipline becomes their gift not only to themselves but to all who witness it, a living example of what is possible when duty guides every step. The chosen of God are called to the same vigilance. Courage is required, not as bravado, but as the strength to face life's trials with clarity and integrity. Responsibility is required, not as burden but as the steady hand that guides each thought and action towards service. Every moment becomes an opportunity to act not for self alone, but for the greater unfolding of purpose that transcends the individual. Ancient wisdom teaches that the greatest power is invisible, held quietly in the heart of one who serves. Like a river that nourishes the land without seeking attention, the chosen live their calling in humility, moving steadily, persistently, and without complaint. Their lives become lessons, their actions reflections of higher truth. To walk as the chosen is to embrace both strength and restraint. It is to hold mastery in one hand and compassion in the other. It is to rise each day ready not only to survive, but to serve, to guide, and to embody the principles that align the human spirit with the divine. Responsibility is the true measure of the chosen, and through it, they fulfill the purpose for which they were called. The call to stop everything is not a demand to pause life, but an invitation to awaken, to return to silence, to discipline, and to presence. In that stillness, the whispers of God become clear, and the wisdom of the ancients finds a home in the heart. Shaolin teachings and divine guidance converge in one simple truth: mastery of the self is the path to mastery of destiny. The chosen are not only called to listen, but to embody what they hear, to balance strength and gentleness, to move with calm awareness, to breathe with intention, and to carry the weight of responsibility with humility. These practices are not distant ideals, they are actions to weave into each day, shaping every choice, every thought, every moment. Begin with small steps. Guard your attention. Cherish your breath. Sit in silence. Observe your words. Let each act become a reflection of the higher calling within you. Over time, the path becomes clearer, the spirit steadier, and the journey purposeful. May this teaching guide you to live with clarity, courage, and inner peace. If this message resonates with your spirit, join us on this journey. Subscribe to Shaolin Soulfire and walk the path of mastery together. one mindful step at a time.